Yes, hi, we are on air now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worldscope Mundane Astrology discussion. Once a month, the world famous, oh no, we shouldn't call ourselves famous. The world astrology dedicate to mundane astrology will meet each other here to discuss world event. And today we have Luisa, we have Liz, we have Anna, and Grace, and me. Well, a few of our friends probably busy. I know that Lian is in Berlin, enjoy her holiday, and so I will be surprised to see, she
Yeah.
join us. But other people, well, welcome. If you realize we are there, come to join us. But also, if you are on the YouTube, please join us for discussion, and I will try my best to read your comment. All right, unless you told me off or say something very harsh, I will just mute you because believe me, I'm Aquarius. It is very easy for me to be a totalitarian
Oh,
master.
all right. Pluto in Aquarius. Look out.
Yeah,
Here we go.
okay. So, hello everyone. Hi, Luisa. Hi, Liz. Hi, Anna. How are you? How's everyone? Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, how's everyone? Oh, good. Do
Good.
you
Yeah.
enjoy?
Thumbs
Good,
up.
good.
Good.
I mean, in UK, we finally have a 1 week summer sun every day.
Enjoy it.
Gosh.
Enjoy it then. Enjoy.
Yeah, I think I
Yes.
heard that from Monday we're going to have rain.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Britain. It's British
yeah,
weather for you. You have something
yeah.
to talk about then.
Very,
The British love
sorry.
talking about the weather, don't they?
I,
Come
I'm
on.
I'm adapt to it. I'm adapt to it because you have to talk about weather to everyone to avoid that awkwardness. Like when you see your future mother-in-law, father-in-law, weather is good, isn't it?
It's a thing with the Brits to talk about the weather, Rod. You must have noticed now living in the UK how that works.
Yes, I agree. But okay, so well, we have a interesting opening because today we know we are going to discuss something very serious about these protests in the university all around the world. And well, some people, a lot of different opinion, a lot of different argue. So I should be more careful. I think our colleague is very polite, so it is fine. But I think somehow people have a different opinion, somehow may feel uncomfortable. But please remind that we mean no harm. We just try our best to look from the astrological view. But it is very interesting why we discuss this. Liz mentioned about something. Liz, would you like to tell us?
Yeah, I just think it's impossible to completely have an objective view. You're always
Mhm.
implicated in what you see. And I think two astrologers looking at the same chart will very often come at it from a different angle. Both, can be right, but their belief system or their own ideas somehow are being reflected in their approach to the chart. So I think like the idea of being objective, being outside of something is actually pretty much impossible. You're always part of the equation when you're reading something. Your ideas and beliefs are always in there a bit, I think.
I
think
agree, Luisa.
I,
Yeah.
I agree. And we now have quantum physics saying you're the observer. You are okay. You are okay to influence the whole thing. So
Oh,
we have permission from the higher physicists.
I
thank
I
you.
re
As,
I
as an
really like
observer,
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
implicated as
yeah,
an observer and an analyst, because what
yeah,
I'm trying to do is observe and analyze.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
I love this view. I love this view. I just hope when
Um,
we observe this world, we are not, Schrödinger's cats, and we look at this world either they end or not end. Yeah. So, well, when we started, I think we would focus on the protests, and I think Lee's been very, very busy this moment, and have our first hint kind of information to share with us. So we will start with Liz, and we will continue to discuss about this protest from every different angle. I think Luiza has prepared chart. I have some view, and also I think the Anna has prepared something to share. So, and then if we finish earlier, I think Anna has some very interesting case, but also a little bit sensitive too, but we will see. I think we will definitely go there, but will be very interesting to discuss both topics. So I will hand this to Liz. Liz has something to share with us.
Okay. I've got to try and find my PowerPoint. Let's see. So I'm starting, as you can see, with just some images here that I took this week myself in Amsterdam, because I guess some of you have been following the news and saw the breakup of the sit-in protests at the UCLA. And this last week in Amsterdam, students had a peace camp at the at the UvA campus in Amsterdam. And that was broken up by the police. And in the early hours of the morning, which we can have a look at the charts in there, this is a composite of two pictures. These actually helmets down here are riot police who moved in at about 3 o'clock in the morning on the first night of the peace camp. And just, basically evicted everyone. And since then, there's been every day a big protest in the city about the sort of right to peaceful protest, and whether, on a campus where students are trying to find truth and trying to discuss very difficult topics, whether it's okay for the police to come in with batons and bulldozers and break up the camp. So that's part of the protest that I've been on twice this week, recognising students' rights to protest, and also recognising as an old activist. I mean, I've been protesting since the 70s, anti-racism, rock against racism, anti-Nazi leave, bang the bomb. I've been to so many protests, and I always find that students quite often have their finger on the pulse. They quite often turn out historically. If we look at Vietnam demonstrations, it often feels that they're on the right side of history. There's something about the youth and their fresh way of looking at things, which is very, it's very good in a way for bringing things to public attention. They're very straight and innocent. So, because we all know that the base for all of the conflict, I just want to say as well, I've thrown this presentation together after I got back today, because there's been a hearing in the city today as well. There's still a lot going on. So this is basically me trying to retrace it. We all know that the root here is the dispute over land in the Middle East, in Israel. And we've seen here, if we look at this chart, the sun in the horoscope of Israel at 2339 Taurus, which is where, Jupiter and Uranus were just conjunct recently. And coming up, we're going to have on the 2nd of June, we're going to have the Jupiter trine Pluto, which is tying into the moon in the horoscope here, because at the moment, Joe Biden, is having a big problem in an election year with all of the protests that are going on campuses across the US. So he's coming out now with a bit harder talk, saying, not going to keep supplying weapons. And, so there's, and you can see Mercury, they're going to have their Mercury return soon, Israel. And plus, it's going to be the Venus star point is going to fall here as well. And it's all involved in the 9th house, which is Israel's relationship with foreign countries like the US, and the 12th house, which is where the house of self-undoing, isn't it? The 12th house, somehow where own actions are part of the problem, but an inability perhaps because of the nature of the 12th house to fully understand your own role in what's unfolding. So the chart of Israel is coming to light with a lot of planets moving into Gemini, including Jupiter. So we can expect, a lot of disruption to trade as well, thinking of course, the Hutus and you know, the troubles going on in shipping areas in the Middle East at the moment. But it's always interesting to revisit a chart, and looking at the horoscope of Israel just a few hours ago today, I was struck by the number of out-of-bounds planets in this chart. You know, there's Uranus, because Uranus doesn't go out of bounds very often, but it is out of bounds here. Pluto is out of bounds again. Pluto is going to go out of bounds soon for the last time for, I don't know, many hundreds of years. But Israel has Pluto out of bounds, Mercury out of bounds, the moon out of bounds, and also this Venus out of bounds. So there is that sort of, with that, my idea of what I know of planets when they're out of bounds is they just don't conform to what is expected of them. And particularly Venus is way out of bounds. What we know of the nation of Israel, of course, is that it is itself a traumatized nation. A lot of the people that are, you know, that founded the country were themselves, you know, subject to genocide. So there's a lot of like generational pain there as well, which might as well tie into all of these out-of-bound planets. But it's a very complex chart, I think, with Pluto, Uranus, you know, and the, you know, all of the personal planets out of bounds. So the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, Andrade, he says about this, in situations where there is tension, Jupiter and Uranus is going to act like a powder keg, you know, it's like set a light to it. And of course, the transit of Jupiter-Uranus on the sun of Israel, we have seen like that whole area of, you know, the whole topic of Israel is right to exist, its behavior at the moment. It is itself its own powder keg, and things have been kicking off all over the place. And it's an article, you can find it if you're a member of the Astrological Journal. If you search under the name of Barbeau, this article that I'm referring to here will come up, because he relates with, you know, lots of examples of Jupiter-Uranus where it is setting a spark, you know, setting things on fire. Like, for example, a very good example, of course, would be the conjunction at the start of the First World War. But yeah, we're talking about Taurus now, and Taurus is all about stability and creature comforts. And, you know, in Amsterdam at the moment, it's peak tourist season, and these protests are taking part in the center of the city. So there's like business as usual, you know. This Uranus is an unwelcome shock factor. It's disrupting things. And it's been a real, there've been some horrendous scenes, actually, the last days in the city. So yeah, this is the Jupiter conjunct Uranus that I was talking about here in 21 degrees 49 Taurus. And it's taking place as well while the sun is squaring Pluto. And Pluto is very close to station in this chart. It stations on the 2nd of May. So it's a weighty Pluto. It's already, I mean, it only moves 2 minutes now before it goes retrograde on the 2nd of May. So it's a very confrontational Sun-Pluto square, which is, you know, tied into this actual conjunction as well. So I was starting to think about these students that are protesting as a generation. So this is an imaginary horoscope of an average university student who will be about 22, 23. And judging by what I saw myself at the demos the last days, they are young people. They look to me like the majority are not teenagers. I would say they're in their early 20s. But we can see, and this is just for the 1st of July, is the halfway mark of this imaginary student's year. So we're looking at the Pluto in Sag generation. We're looking at Generation Z. We're looking at the generation, you know, who is born into the online reality. I think Uranus there, of course, in Aquarius there, you know, I think within months of my imaginary, or a year or two of my imaginary date here, you know, Face Mash is launched, and 4chan, you know, all of these sort of, what would you say, knowledge-inducing sources of information are suddenly at the fingertips of this generation. So Generation Z is really born into, and you can see Saturn-Pluto opposition here, theirs is the battlefield in a way of learning to cope with this massive influx of information. And I asked for a word map of, you know, sort of Gen Z, and this was a free image. And you can see it all here. You know, they're activists, they're Pluto in Sag, you know, they are open-minded, they're global in their thinking, they're less loyal perhaps, you know, they have big dreams, but also they're born into a time where, you know, a lot of the pie has already been shared out, so they have nothing to lose. They can really, you know, focus on the issues that matter to them, which is very much, I think, the theme of Sag is truth, is about fair play, it's justice. And one of the sort of, what would you call it, the slogans was no justice, no peace. I mean, it's this idea of justice I found was coming at me at all angles, walking the walk the last days. And then we look at their tutors, because there were a lot of university lecturers participate. And I would say these look to me, the young ones, the political, there was one actually spoke today at the thing that was happening at the City Hall, looking at the use of police violence. They, you know, she's in her early 30s. So these are the people that were born under the Uranus conjunct Neptune in Capricorn. So I think this is rethinking of history here. These are the generation, I think, this lot that was starting to revision the past, to really start to dig deeper into Pluto in Scorpio, into the unsavory stuff, you know, cleaning out the toilet of what's been happening in colonial history. So we see at this time as well, new academic studies coming out. One is, which was very much, you know, because you always get speakers as well on megaphones. And one of the things that came out was this idea of settler colonialism, which, you know, plays out in the erasure of indigenous presence, taking over their land, driving people out. So there's this whole area of study started to emerge in the mid 1990s. And what you see now at universities, Pluto and Sag, this generation coming into this new developing field, they have a better understanding of settler colonialism. They have a better understanding of how this sort of, what would you call it, ideology or way of being, how it rubs people out. And Pluto in Sag is willing to look at uncomfortable issues. It's willing to go there. And Pluto in Scorpio, sorry, and and also Pluto in Sag. It's like these two generations are following on from each other, and they're willing to go into these darker areas. So these are the tutors are born around this time when history itself is being revisioned. So this was as near a time as I could find for the police breakup of the Palestine Peace Camp in the UCLA. And you can see here we have Pluto rising, Pluto on the ascendant here. And what we're seeing, of course, as one of the big themes of Pluto in Aquarius, it's, you know, the group mind, it's people coming together. We know the Bastille was stormed under Pluto in Aquarius. You know, it has that capacity to bring people together for a common cause. So it's interesting that Pluto's, you know, hovering around, and the two eclipses that we have coming up this year, Pluto's back in Capricorn. So we're just like in this liminal zone in a way between two signs. But Pluto is stationary here as well. So it's a really heavy, weighty Pluto right on the ascendant. Moon, of course, close to the moon in the horoscope of the US. So we can see these themes. And this is when the protest of the University of Amsterdam was broken up. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of May. So we're looking at there, what we're looking at 5 days later. This whole thing that had happened in America is now happening in Amsterdam. And actually, the rhetoric that was used by Joe Biden was exactly the rhetoric that has been used in Amsterdam to justify the violence of the police actually towards really young people, because they are young people. Of course, you're always, when you get demos that are huge as these have been, you're always going to have a rogue element in there. But that doesn't detract from the fact that most of these were what I saw were young students. So it's interesting in both these situations that we have Pluto hovering around the ascendant. And here you can see he has now moved retrograde. So if we look like historically as well, we can look at the most famous Vietnam demo, which has gone into history as the Kent State Massacre, because people died. I think 9 students died, and you know, how many were injured, I don't know. But again, it's interesting to see that cluster of planets in Taurus, and again, that little movement towards Gemini here as well. This is, of course, where the Venus star point is going to be around here, coming up soon. But that idea of Taurus as wanting to keep the peace, keep the order, hold the status quo, you know, not, you know, business as usual, you know, is running in, you could say as well, into its counterforce, which is the force for change, the Pluto in Aquarius generation. Of course, with the Kent State, you know, it's very much as well, you know, it was the build up through the Uranus-Pluto conjunction in Virgo, the Neptune in Scorpio, you're getting the chemicals, Agent Orange, all these horrible things being you know, coming into use, chemical weapons. But it was also the cost of it, both in terms of human life for America itself and in terms of costs of the war, were phenomenal. And the demonstrations against it, of course, were huge. But it is interesting that sort of full-on sort of Taurus, you know, presence of we will not be moved, the state, you know, holding its ground. So yeah, what we're seeing, of course, you know, we can see that this sort of post-truth is also called, isn't it? You know, how, you know, the whole idea now, certainly since the web, since internet, you know, and the generation that are coming up now are having to deal with a whole different range of problems than my generation dealt with. But I found the demos that I've been on, I found the group cohesion. I have been, literally, as I said, I've been on so many demos, but these were Pluto in Aquarius demos, thousands of people. And suddenly, you know, someone would put their hand up in a shape like that. I don't know if you can see it. And that shape would move back down through the thousands of people demonstrating, and silence would move through the whole demo till there's absolute silence. And there'd be like a minute silence there. And then suddenly it would all start up again, all these different cries. The cohesion from using signals, also with regard to the direction the demo was taken. As I said, I have never witnessed anything like that in all my years of being on demonstrations, even though it seemed chaotic on one level. It was almost like a group mind, which is also very Pluto in Aquarius was present there. It was a really moving, powerful, sometimes a bit frightening, but totally worthy experience. So yeah, the whole idea of truth, as I say, it's challenged now, and Pluto coming into Aquarius, and coming into this election, which I'm sure we're going to be discussing big time at some point.
Definitely.
You know, it's massive. So yeah, this generation is the generation to really watch. This is the generation born under that 7 times square to Uranus, Pluto. This is the generation like Marie Antoinette, Uranus square Pluto, Robespierre, Uranus square Pluto, Louis XVI, Uranus square Pluto, Mary Wollstonecraft. You know, these are the generation that are really going to, you know, push the envelope to the next level. So yeah, there's some exciting generations coming up. Thank you. That was my my contribution there, Rod.
Thank you, Liz. Oh my God, even you were out about, you still put everything together, and really lot of food of thought. And I would like to invite Luiza and Grace to make some comment. If you notice anything you want in the Liz presentation, you want to share your view.
Well, it is very interesting, Liz. It's very interesting. I had never noticed the out of bounds in Israel's chart.
I hadn't either.
Although I should.
Yeah, same.
Because I was born in 1950, and my month, Pluto and Uranus are out of bounds parallel. So I should.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? When you look at the chart again, you can always find something you didn't see
something else. So
before.
I found that extremely interesting. And in my presentation, I also looked in a much, much simpler way. And who is protesting? What are these generations about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yours is way more complete, and I have very little to add.
No, don't worry. We will still look at it from different glances. Well, we have Fernando join us. Anna, you want to make any comment? You are mute.
Unmute.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was thinking about the Pluto Sagittarius because lately we talk about Pluto Aquarius, Pluto Capricorn, but I don't remember so much about the Pluto Sagittarius that you mentioned, which is good to have a view what happened before, to have those concepts back, because it will be replicated by another transit, and we have to take into consideration those factors as well. Brilliant presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I felt very fired up, as I say, I think I've been twice this week, out of solidarity, because these are young people, and I didn't like what I saw. And I thought, yeah, come on, we need to have some grey hairs in there as well, but it really charges you up when you see the passion and you feel the passion of the young people. And I think these are the Pluto and Sag kids, I mean, they really want to see change. They want something to hope for, which is all very sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
even in my peaceful country of Portugal, we have a psychology university. They had permits. The students had permits to put their protests, to write their banners, to all that. And then the police came in because one of the banners or whatever, graffiti, was defacing a structure.
Yeah.
But they were driven out.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, there was a lot of carnage in the city at the end, barricades that students erected and stuff. And of course, the narrative, as it was in America as well, is about, damaging property is against the law, etc.
Yeah.
But one of the UVA professors that was interviewed, he said, yes, it doesn't look nice, but compared to what's happening in Gaza at the moment, what are we talking about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's no comparison there. And I thought that was, for him, a very brave statement to make publicly, because it's a very emotive issue, especially here in the Netherlands, because we have a massive history in the Second World War. So it's a difficult subject for us in the Netherlands, the whole thing of anti-Semitism and protest in that area. And that's where you need Pluto and Sag and Pluto and Scorpio people that are willing at least to start unpacking it, so we can, have something else. But thanks everybody for attention. I'm really looking forward to hearing everybody else now.
Nando just raised his hand.
Nando, two things. This one, it's a Pluto lesson in general, since it was discovered, and Pluto in Capricorn especially. Those in power will always find an excuse to do or not to do something. So we have not to worry about that. Sometimes they say, "Oh, your lenses are dirty. Go clean and come back later. Talk to me." There is always one excuse. Oh, you don't smell very good. Go home, take a shower, come tomorrow to talk to me. And then those in power will have 24 more hours to prepare to battle you. So no problems. And also, what I think is interesting is now that Pluto is advancing in zodiac signs, the time of generation is growing large again. So generation fights in Sagittarius, Capricorn are just like Neptune's, 14 years apart. So you have fights between grandparents and parents and grandfathers. But if as it approaches going to Taurus, and then when it was discovered in Cancer, Leo, is like 30 years so we have like one generation, 30 years, people with Pluto so people talk a little bit more language. We can talk to, because I have Pluto in Leo. No, I'm not. I have in Virgo myself. If I have Pluto in Leo and you do too, and my grandparents and my boss and my grandson, we can talk the same language a little bit. It's different. Then now we are talking to children. We are talking grandchildren, nephews, college students. Each one of them has Pluto in Sag, Pluto in Scorpio, Pluto in Libra, Pluto in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn. They are not going to talk at all. What I think is going to be good is that if they have the sun sign, the Mercury sign is very good communication, Saturn, all of them doing sextiles, right? Like generation. So Pluto Scorpio people will talk to Pluto Sagittarius people, but not with the Scorpio or Libra. So they will talk, Pluto generation sextile, because their generation has a disconnection. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, they will talk very well with people that had Pluto in Sagittarius. And also we see that the great conjunction in 0° Aquarius, they will have a good connection with the people that were born, the generation that were born in 1981 or so, 1980, 1981, because during that 200 years of Pluto and Earth signs, the 1990, 1980, 81, they have the great conjunction Jupiter-Saturn in Libra, in air signs. So they are talking, they are opening the gates to the new generation. Don't you think that works that way?
There was definitely. That was the start, wasn't it? I mean, then you got Reaganomics, and the start of globalization and neoliberalism, and all of that started to come in on the wave of that Jupiter Libra.
And they are now in their they are now in their 40s, if I'm not mistaken, their 40s. So they have like a taste of the word power and business. They are going to be guides, like guided this new generation, because they are the only ones in the whole billions of people on Earth that knows what is a great conjunction Jupiter-Saturn in air signs. So I pay attention to because I have in my family, so like I'm closely monitoring for years now. Nephews and nieces.
They're out there, that's for sure. There's quite a few of them around in the astrological community as well.
True.
Jen Zart is one, for example. I know for sure she's of that generation of Jupiter. But there's more. There's a lot more.
Thank you, Liz and Nando. And that is fascinating to bring out the generation with the Pluto. That is really something we really need to pay attention, because as Pluto is moved backward forward. But I would like to invite Anna to show your presentation first, should we? Student protest. We have a little bit different view, and we will bring back to what the Luiza prepared.
Okay, let me which one. Okay, I'm unable to share.
Yeah, you should. Yes. Yes, I think yes, we can see you now.
Oh, mine will be a short one. Okay. So what I did is to check the dates of those years, and I tracked the eclipses that were involved in that span of time. The one in blues are in the middle of the event. The other ones are on the frontiers, no? But I wanted to check how the story was unfold. So I will pass it very quickly without going deeper into every detail. Just to mention that in the previous year, in 1960, the eclipse was very close to Mercury. What I want you to track is how Mercury is very close to the degree of the eclipse. So here it is in Taurus, and at the same time is the conjunction Uranus-Pluto. No? There are other factors such this square, Venus and Chiron. And in the same year, the next eclipse was very close in the sign of Scorpio with Mercury as well, this retrograde, and the conjunction with Uranus-Pluto with Venus in opposition to Chiron. When it happens, the events, the eclipses were in the 8th of Aries and Chiron in the last degree of Pisces, and the conjunction continued with 5 degrees apart, and there was a square with Jupiter and Neptune. And as we move to September, the upcoming eclipse was in the last degree of Virgo, very close to Uranus, and in opposition to Chiron as well. And when it ends, this is the last degree of the event, the last eclipse of the protest in that year. We have the eclipse in 27 of Pisces, and the conjunction Jupiter-Uranus in the 1st degrees of Libra. And also square of Mercury and Mars. In this case, look that Mercury is moving apart from the degree of the eclipse. As it happened here, in 97, when the protests were already over, look that the degree in 18 of Virgo, and Mercury is in the other sign, so it's going apart. Venus is all in the other wing, and this degree is now visited by Saturn, by the current Saturn. But the story does not end here. What I took the start of the events in 1960, and I put the Aries ingress of this year, we can observe that there is a coincidence of the Mars and Mars, when they started in 1968, and the current Aries ingress. And Neptune is connecting with the Chiron of that start date. When it ended, the Aries ingress coincide with the North Node of that moment, which is the last degree of Pisces, and Neptune with Mercury. And another contacts are happening, such this square and another square. But it's like these degrees of the last degree of Pisces and the degrees in Aries are being now in contact with those events. That's why we're seeing back if there is a coincidence or not. If we take the Aries ingress of the 1968 with the with the day of the protest, I took this date, May the 7th, we can see the coincidences here, such Neptune with Chiron. Remember that this Aries ingress of the 1968, Sun and Chiron were together, and Neptune is visiting this degree. Mars is now, is visiting this Sun, and look that the North Node is the degree of the solar eclipse of April. And Mercury and Chiron is getting very close to the Mars of that Aries ingress at that time. And it is a T-square here, formed by the transiting Jupiter in opposition to Neptune, and Jupiter of the Aries ingress of the 1960. And Saturn doing a square to the Moon. The solar eclipse that recently happened moved those pieces of the Aries ingress of the 1960. We can see here again the Neptune with Chiron, the degree of the eclipse with the North Node, and Mercury with Mars. And another, a square from Saturn to the Moon of the event. But the upcoming solar eclipse will be kind of interesting, because the degree of the eclipse will be very close to Mercury again, and with Lilith, if you want to use Lilith. So maybe it's announcing something here, because again, Neptune will be with Chiron. Chiron at that time will be kind of close to the Mars of that event, and there will be a T-square between transiting Uranus to Neptune and squaring Jupiter. But before that, in July, Mars will conjoin this degree of Uranus. So probably maybe something will continue, or maybe, hope not, something will come up at that time, and we'll create again a T-square of that moment with other T-squares for October. Hope that this won't continue, that it will stop, and maybe we will have some good news for that moment. That's all.
Anna, You are always fantastic. I have no word to adding because you already speak everything I want to say. I think Luiza thinks the same, right?
Oh, no.
Luiza, any comment?
Well, I looked at it more simply. I wanted to get across to the viewers more straightforward. I mean,
Okay.
if you involve the eclipses, we can involve precise dates. I wanted to have a broader view. That was it.
Yeah, sure. Any comment before we jump into join Luiza as a present? Liz, please.
Yeah, Anna, there's quite a few charts you showed, so it was for me very difficult to keep track, but I did notice a few things. That was like with the 69 charts and the historic charts you showed, that again, the nodal axis is in sort of Aries, Libra, which is very much, the axis of war and peace, I call it, Aries, Libra. That was coming out very strongly. And in one point, you were showing two charts together with Mars conjunct in both charts. And those Marses were both in Aquarius, like 24 and 26 Aquarius.
Yes.
And that is exactly conjunct the US moon, when this was the time of, huge demonstrations, of course, against, against what was going on in Vietnam. And I also noticed that the chart that you showed for the 7th of May demo as well, which is again something I should have recognized, but like we sometimes don't see it, but Jupiter's been conjunct with Algol as well. So I think in terms of, how the forces of the society are going to react, the legal sort of response to things. It's that little bit of like maybe fear of losing control, which Algol can have, so better crack down heavy, because otherwise, especially, with Uranus around as well, who knows what will happen,
And also the last degree of Pisces that is being repeating all the time, there is a fixed star shed. But I don't remember if it's only related to navigation and all.
It related to a little bit of disaster, drowning, and I think because most traditional astrologer will relate it to the sink of Titanic. So it wasn't a lovely fixed stars.
So they're working.
I like the beginning. I love the sort of idea that you had at the beginning there of the timeline.
The solar eclipse.
I look at that again when I thought that was a really way of looking at it.
I think that's what we here from. We're going to share all the different views. So because we kind of run out of time, I want to share Luiza's presentation and allow Luiza go through it, and I will just add something in. Should we? Yep. Here we are. We have Luiza's chart, and Luiza, it's on you.
Okay, so I looked at not the specific, just the first March. The first March in Washington on April. No, the other one. Yes,
the other one.
Yeah, the
first one. Okay. First one. Okay.
Yeah. The other one. The first one. And then
which one?
No, the other
Sorry.
I wanted to start at the beginning of this movement.
Here we are.
At the beginning of this movement with the Uranus-Pluto conjunction opposite Saturn. That was the first March against, and it was against everything, because this was a period of not just Vietnam, but it was a period of civil rights. It was the first march on Washington. It had about 15,000 people. And I thought this chart is amazing because it has everything. The extreme change of Uranus-Pluto next to Mars, opposite Uranus, square the nodes. Okay, we are launching. Then the next one, go on to the next slide. 2 years
Here
later,
we are.
This was the one that had the largest march, that had the 1,500 people, or for the first time. And now we have a slightly different scenario about Pluto and Uranus are side by side. And so the movement has been launched, and it doesn't stop in the United States. And we are changing everything. This generation is changing everything. It's changing music. It's changing women's rights, at least at the beginning. It's changing everything. And then we have in Paris, May 68. So it doesn't stop in the US. It moves on to Europe. And we all seem to catch up a little later. And you will appreciate that Mars is at 26.
Yeah.
Taurus.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I made it the moon chart, Martha. I don't know exactly when it started, probably early in the morning. But anyway, they are all noon charts. But you'll appreciate the Algol thing, right? So Pluto and Uranus still stuck together. Yeah. And now it has moved on to Europe. And I wanted to show this because we talked about the protests starting in the US and now spreading all over the world. Okay. Everything else that you've said can fit in here.
I agree.
But then you can move on to the next slide, because then I asked who is protesting? Who is protesting? And again, I'm picking up on what Liz said. Who are these people? Who's protesting in the 60s? So these are people born during World War II and up to 1950. I was in Paris in June 1968. I was born in 1950. I was there.
Wow.
So what are these people? For example, you think of Joan Baez singing against the war. She was born in 41. Who are these people? And one thing that I feel in astrology, when we speak of all the signs and we divide them by element, by sign, but we don't look very much into what the first 4 signs focus on, which is entirely personal. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer have a total personal focus. The next 4 have a total social focus. And the last 4 have a collective focus, collective, universal. And this generation, they were protesting. They were throwing flowers and bombs and songs, but then they became now the elders. It didn't stay. They didn't have staying power. They did what they were supposed to do, and now they went back to their mainstream, or they went back to their main worries, their personal and social focus. So now what's going on, it's different. And I think both of you have touched on that. And the chart that I used, you can go on, Rod.
Yep.
The chart that I used was the Columbus University protests, the one that was first broken up by police in a major way. And it's yummy in terms of the chart, because now, again, it's a noon chart, so I don't know where Pluto was exactly, but it was practically on the day of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So these are not people who are mad at something. These are people who want a new truth, exactly, they're very good, a new justice. So I thought it was very interesting to see that the first one that was publicized and hit the newspapers, it was the Columbia University in New York on this day. So that's the chart I used, and I found that it was extremely interesting to see how close Jupiter and Uranus were on that day. And what is this generation about? Come on, Rod, you can change? Okay.
Yeah, we are.
So these are the generation that Liz referred to. These are very young, are the people who were born between 1996 and 2006. Okay. 28 to 18. And these have all the slow-moving planets, whether they are born in the 90s or the early 2000s, they have all the slow-moving planets in collective universal signs. They have a focus on the collective. They were born and they developed as kids on the collective. Many years ago, I taught briefly, when I was still in the business world, I taught briefly at MBA level an international business class. And there was an experiment done for marketing purposes by Coca-Cola, filming rooms of teenagers all over the world. And you couldn't tell which one was Chinese, because the hero was the same basketball hero as the one in Phoenix, Arizona. So there is a commonality in young people of this generation, and that's why they respond so well. As Liz said, it seemed orchestrated or something like that. They are of one mind because they grew up in a world that in certain ways was similar, irrespective of where they were. So
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luiza.
So
this is fantastic.
To have a big picture because I knew you'd come in with details.
I think everyone coming with details. So I just like, you know what? With Anna's presentation, Liz's presentation, the most things I want to say, I don't need to say because I will just repeat all of you. And I really appreciate all of us bring that generation theme, the next generation, this, like Luiza mentioned about that they have the Pluto in Sag, they have Uranus in the Sag and Capricorn. They are really going to, play an important role for coming up. I don't know if I added something in that's going to upset anyone, but I want to say this. Like what we already see, the things are not really beginning just like a switch on suddenly on 1968 or 69. They build up, and then they build up even before. So we have to consider the things were built up before during the maybe pandemic also, and the last year they so-called a free heaven or something. But also the things are building up and they use a surprise. Let's check the example of 68, because we know they heavy-handed the protest, especially in Paris University. And what happened? I think it's that Charles de Gaulle that time. I think it was Charles de Gaulle, right? He was president that time. He was nearly have to run to Germany to escape because he was worried about another revolution coming up. And he has to run. And look, I know we already see this chart, and this is the Aries English chart in Paris. We have this. This Mars is that so angry, that angry Mars, right on the MC. And we know it because we all talk about the Aries English chart of this year in Washington, D.C. We have this one. So I would say, you can continue to do this heavy-handed thing, but I don't think the student will bow down. I don't think they will retreat easily. They may be going back, but I don't think they will give up because of this Mars on IC. And another thing, we all talk about the Pluto, Uranus-Pluto conjunction. And we know when Pluto back to, even now, but when Pluto moved back to Capricorn 29-degree Capricorn 20, that would try Uranus. So that means a 68 or 69 theme will be triggered by that time, added up as Anna showing us the solar eclipse chart. I think I would say, they better handle it well, let it out, allow people to say something, not just like choke them, say, no, you are not allowed to say this, you are not allowed to say that, because things only get worse. That's my view. I mean, a little bit from astrological view, but I really appreciate everyone's comment, because that is 100 times more than I prepared, I have to say.
I have to say that chart you just showed, though, of the ingress, the solar ingress, Sun in Aries. I mean, that was a fixed ascendant for Washington, wasn't it?
Washington, yes, exactly.
So that's for then the whole year, right?
Yeah.
And the charts that Anna showed with Mars on the moon of the US, it's exactly what's happening here. The Mars is again in that position on the US moon. And if you look at where the House of Foreign Affairs, right, the 9th house, relationship with foreign countries, etc., there's the moon there. And I'm not sure, I'm just trying to look on my phone, but I have a feeling that that is where the moon is in the horoscope of Israel. But I can't, I've got the chart, but not in front of me. But I think that is Israel's moon there. I don't know if you...
Yes, there. 1 degree away. 1 degree away.
Exactly. So this is showing, because I think it was on BBC Newsnight the other night. There was a whole thing on Joe Biden's, what were they calling it, the Palestine problem. So this is now starting to impact what is going to be a tightly fought election. You know, and a few of the key states have Muslim majorities there. So it's kind of spilling over, and you can see a bit of it there in that solar ingress there for the Aries ingress, can't you? Do you know what I mean? The sort of especially Mars on the moon there. The people are, and it's not just the whole Palestine thing. I mean, there's a lot of, you know,
agree.
Saw it with the storming of the Capitol. I mean, there's a sort of divided sort of nation feel with all the eclipses falling across the states the way they have the last years. It's almost like sort of emphasizing or highlighting the divisions that are within the country on every level. So this is just one more, really.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I just want to add a little thing before I hand it to Nando. You mentioned about the eclipse last October, because I 100% sure that was on that day, on the eclipse day, Israel strike back hardly. Yeah. That was on the eclipse day. They strike back so hard, and how stupid I am! Didn't think about that. It's going to relate it to United States.
Yeah. But no, it's really another comment on Luiza's thing, though. I was thinking, like, when you were talking, Luiza, it's the two fire signs, isn't it? Pluto Leo, Pluto Sag, that are these, like, you know, coming out now a lot.
Yeah.
But I think the difference between the two, even though they're both fire signs, I mean, the Pluto and Leo were born into a time of, like, wealth. You know what I mean? Everything was, you know what I mean? So it was very, you could have that hippie generation, peace, love, you know, the economic conditions were there. But I think now, you know, post-COVID, you know, post-austerity, shrinking economy, it's a totally different kind of fire energy expressing through Pluto and Sag, isn't it?
But the question of, I'm sorry, Nando, but just to finish up Liz, the thing.
Sorry, I'm going to say nothing now.
I don't know if you realized what happened in Ireland. The students only backed down from not just protesting, but loudly when the university divested.
Yeah.
Divested. So the question of power, Pluto, seen from at the perspective of economic power, would have a whole other analysis that could also be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nando.
Yeah.
No worry. So Nando and Grace. So I will hand it to Nando first, and Grace, you will be next one.
I just have a quick question for your left brain side, you know, no astrology of your soul. Do you really think that U.S. election is really going to be between Trump and Biden? Nobody else is going to appear suddenly, or Iranianly speaking. If anyone will drop, Anyone who goes today? No. I want to know your intuition. I'm begging for your Neptune and Moon intuition and inspiration. Please tell me, what do you think?
No, I think it would be, I mean, I know isn't one of the Kennedys sort of making a bit of an entry?
Yes.
But to try and galvanize.
He dropped out, he's sick.
Oh, there we are. That's what I mean, to try and get momentum now. You know, for an election in November. It's May, you know, June, July, August. You've got 5 months to, you know, and it's a big country.
So
I don't see
I'm inviting all clairvoyant astrologer to go peace, you know, Uranus, Neptune, go to election.
Sorry, Nando. I love this subject.
Mars Uranus conjunction will square the ascendant of Trump.
Well, with Neptune in the anaretic degree, you can ask for a miracle because it's the last degree of Pisces, and it will be 160 years before it goes back to Pisces.
Jupiter coming in to his sign, Jupiter, ruler of the US ascendant, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things going on there. Venus star points.
Be aware about what we wish to.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay, Grace, want to make some comment, please?
Yes, from Anna, all the charts we can see Chiron is very important. I mean, Chiron sometimes means the people or the group who in need of help or in need of safe. So Chiron with I mean, from the solar eclipse, from solar eclipse, I think until the mid of May, Mercury will conjunct with Chiron. So something like speak out for the people, for this group. And Mercury is a student, it's more like education or some media. And in the meantime, Jupiter conjunct Uranus. I still want to see Uranus with Jupiter is more like a social group revolution. Or because of beliefs, and the people become very, how to say it, fanaticals.
Fanaticals.
Or they want to break something, want to change something. And in the meantime, in this moment in American, and they have some new law for the protection, so I mean.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Grace. Well done. Thank you, Grace, for sharing your view. And now you want to make any comment, or you want to jump into your another topic?
As you wish, depending on your time.
Do we have a time? Do we want to listen? Because Anna prepared an interesting case.
Yes.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
Please, Anna.
Thank you. I go. Yeah. Please let me know if you see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, we can see.
Well, first of all, I want to tell that this presentation is done with all respect to the twins, and the main question for me is why this event was known in late March and not before. And what I've found may answer the question, and believe me that it was surprising for me. I hope that it will be surprising for you and all the audience. Okay, so the twins, Avi and Brittany, are famous. They have some public exposure. No, they are conjoined twins. They are conjoined. They have two heads, and each one of them has a heart, stomach, spine, lungs. And one controls one arm and the other one controls the other arm. They have been in the media. They have been in the show, in Oprah Winfrey show, in channel, and they have their own reality show. So they are very used to the exposure and talk about her situations. and they have their own driver license, and they work as teachers. And Avi got married in 2021, and the news was released in late March 2024. So what is that? This is the chart of the twins. This is the chart of the twins. The ascendant is the last degree of Gemini. The ascendant is the last degree on Gemini, and the ruler is here very close to the MC in Pisces. In the first house, they have Jupiter and Chiron, Jupiter exalted and Chiron. This description is about the organs that they have. I won't go deeper in this because they have some independence from the waist to the top, and they have one. They share organs from the waist to the toes. So and they have also, well, Jupiter exalted, Mars exalted with Saturn. They have an opposition with the Moon in Leo and with Venus in Aquarius. The Moon in Aquarius. Okay. So when I try to go deeper, I put the draconic chart in the right side. Avi tends to be much more Gemini-like or Pisces-like, and Brittany is much more steady, but much more relaxed, much more. I don't mean not so quick, according to the YouTube investigation that I did. But well, I don't want to go deeper in the analysis of them. What I want to highlight is that the draconic chart has some degrees that are very, very known in our current times, such the midheaven, which is practically the degree of the eclipse, the Mars-Saturn in Pisces. We already have a conjunction Mars-Saturn in Pisces as well. So somehow the transits during this time have impacted in both charts. But I continue my analysis with the tropical charts not to get so involved in many charts. Well, this is the day when they got married. When they got married, we can see here that the Moon and Neptune were very close to their sun, and Venus with Uranus in contact, and Pluto was very close to Mars, and Saturn was in the cusp of the 9th house. But for me, well, that's okay, but why they married in secret, but why then the news is nowadays known? When I see that the date of the news release, we can see here that I don't have the exact hour, but we can see that the Moon was very close to the Pluto, the 5th house. Yeah, 5th and 6th house. If you use the 5-degree rule orb, Pluto with Venus. Pluto was activating this opposition, while Mars was in the midheaven and Saturn and Venus was in contact with the Sun. So, well, there are some elements that are related with this opposition. You say, wow, there must be something interesting going on. When I wanted to check, because since they are famous, what happened in the Aries ingress of the year that they got married, to see some connections. What I only found is the coincidence of the Mercuries, and the Mars with Pluto, and the ascendant with the ascendant of the Aries ingress. But for me, was still not enough to say, well, there are some contacts, but not so strong to become a worldwide news. So when I check the lunar eclipse of this year, because it was very close to the date of the release. The release was 28th of March. 28th of March. I observed that the lunar eclipse previous day was done to the city that the twins were born. We can observe here that the Moon is very at the top. So when I casted the lunar eclipse in the chart of the twins, I observed that the Moon was in contact with the cusp of the 5th house. Pluto, again, activated this opposition, Moon Venus, Mars with the midheaven, and Venus with the Sun. So it is that this eclipse was moving the topic about the love, the marriage, and all the private life related with love, related is, of course, the question that came up is how they were in intimacy. No, there was the first question that the people asked. What about their intimacy? So, well, it was some moving, taking pieces of information of the natal chart. When I observed the solar return, the Aries ingress, the Aries ingress of this year, I can find the answer. This is the Aries ingress, casted for Greenwich. We can see the contact of the moon. So the moon of the Aries ingress and the opposition took the moon opposition Venus of the twins. And the midheaven of the Aries ingress took the Pluto of the 5th house. So it's like the world wanted to know the secrets about how they met or how they behave in intimacy. It's like the world was asking, tell me all your secrets about having sex, orgasm, etc. So it became the most intriguing things. Of course, answer that I won't give because this is not my business. It's just only showing that this Aries ingress took the chart of the twins and put the intimacy to the top of the world. For me, it was amazing, but this is not the only surprise. When I cast the solar eclipse in 8th of April to the city that the twins were born, we can see here that the moon, degree and minute, is exactly the MC degree and minute. And the sun, degree and minute, degree and minute. Who knows if this eclipse is the picture that we have here, with a person with a chironic problem, hand in hand with the love. Who knows if this very singular conjunction is the photo that we are seeing now.
Yeah.
In the middle of conjunction with Jupiter-Uranus that invite us to change our belief what pleasure and love is. Maybe this situation is giving us a lesson of love now to see the world with other lenses, that love can win in spite of the chironic problems a person may have.
Wow.
So I think that this is a hope to see other things. When we astrologers, we see a chart, we assume that the person is complete. And this is not the case. We observe the chart of these twins that have been resilient and have been doing a lot of things during their lives, giving us example of how to deal with problems with a chironic one, and still love won. And this is not the only thing. When I observed the solar eclipse of that date in the chart of the twins, well, there was some contact with the square with Saturn, etc. But when I look the Sabian symbol for this degree, look what it says. Seeing life as a constant opportunity to experience love. Life's very harshness is what enables us to learn of love's unfathomable depth. Nature is hard. And I won't read everything for you to explore. So maybe in the middle of many problems that the world has, maybe this opportunity to see with other lenses that love can win in the middle of many battles, this experience, this marriage is an example that we have to see things in another way. So,
very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Great lesson, Anna. Great lesson.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You guys
when I did it, when I did this, say no, this is more going beyond my knowledge. Is I think that the symbolism talks to us.
Exactly. Before I hand it to Nando, I want to say I have no regret have this extra 15 minutes. That is not only fresh and also added love into our heart. Nando, please, I'm really sorry.
Because we have mentioned here before, I think we collectively, and especially astrological community, we are missing the unique message of Neptune in the last degree of its domicile, because that's the omega degree from the alpha to omega, and Neptune is leaving us in South America. Bye-bye, guys. You're going to deal with Neptune and another declination. Have fun for the last 100 years. And Neptune is very quiet, subtle, and is bringing a lot of message. It has to do, of course, with water, with Pisces, and all the entourage. When the sun goes there, Pisces is Venus. Exaltation. Pisces is moon, water. Pisces is also Jupiter international. And this is what we're seeing now. A lot of things, but probably we collectively will only see when it hits 0 degree cardinal, with, as always, right, the slow planets at, actually the Aries point is the most important. And I would think that Capricorn, where we have Pluto there once, it's a huge message and lesson. Unfortunately, the media and Starbucks is very busy. It's not glamorous like Hollywood. We don't pay much attention to that. So hopefully,
there are some pearls.
Yes,
there are still some pearls going around with
because it's a different sensitivity, right? We are talking about Neptune, Pisces. It's another word. It's the water that dimensions. So
that's why I enjoy working with this, because it intensifies other kind of reading, and the symbolic codification of the cosmos in our lives, and the lesson of resilience. I watch the videos of the twins. They are amazing.
Probably Hollywood will show us, because Hollywood is very attuned to Pisces and Neptune. So maybe a lot of things and movies we are going to see Neptune last degree of Pisces.
I have to say, Anna, this chart is fantastic, especially when you explain this chart fit into their story. That was definitely 100% agree with you. The symbolic on this chart around the MC totally tell us the story of this beautiful story. Well, I think it's about time. We are running a little longer than 1 hour. Everyone is tired, and but it's fantastic discussion. I really take off my hat to everyone here. You are all fantastic. I have to say, from the generation and from the, we compare the current situation with the 68, 67, and the deep analyze with that different generation what they are doing during this 2 time. I think you are fantastic, and thank you, Liz. Even was really busy out there to support students, and still have time to prepare this in depth. Yes. And Luiza, thank you for joining us. You're always fantastic there. And Anna, you prepared 2 topics.
But I love it.
I know. And thank you, Grace. Grace, beautiful comment, and always inspiring from Nando. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
For organizing.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.